Dear colleagues, Committee 100 fully and completely shares the concern of scientists all over the world who have signed the second warning to humanity. We share their concern about the inaction of politicians in the face of the danger of human death. We fully agree that it is necessary to reconsider the role of economy based on industrial and financial growth, take measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, stimulate the use of renewable energy sources, restore natural ecosystems, reduce pollution of the planet, and stop the decline in biodiversity. We are forced to confirm that humanity hasn't yet taken any steps to protect our home, the biosphere, which is now in danger of destruction. Yes, we have learned a lot since the 1992 Rio Consensus, but the necessary changes in environmental policy, thinking, and human behavior are still not enough. It makes no sense to appeal to politicians to resolve current environmental issues. Most of politicians cannot solve any environmental problems simply because they do not see them or do not know how and what exactly to do. Therefore, we, as experts, need to develop and offer sane people scientifically grounded options for ways out of the situation. Human activities have destroyed 40% of natural ecosystems, causing an imbalance in the biosphere. Anthropogenic pressure on the natural environment has led to an ecological crisis, in the conditions of which all mankind now lives. It is impossible to reverse such a complex critical situation overnight. A set of measures is required to systematically solve the situation. Today, the anthropocentric approach dominates in all spheres of human activity. It puts human beings and their needs above all else. However, a completely different approach is needed to resolve the ecological crisis. Instead of the dominant anthropocentrism, we propose to use a biosphere-centric approach which puts at the forefront the biosphere and the importance of its preservation for humanity. The biosphere of the Earth has almost 4 billion years of experience in evolution and management of planetary natural processes. It makes sense to start learning from nature rather than competing with it. The biosphere-centric approach assumes an awareness of the fact that man is only one of the forms of life. As a biological species, we are largely under control of the main environmental laws. Therefore, in our relationship with nature, we must accept its conditions. With this approach, the main content of further human activity becomes the incorporation of our habitat into biospheric processes, that is, creation and implementation of environment-friendly model of economic development. As the first steps in this direction, we propose the following. Determine for each country the number of undisturbed ecosystems and not reduce their area. Compile an inventory of existing undisturbed ecosystems. Enshrine in local legislation and international agreements the priority of preserving existing intact ecosystems, to make the restoration of intact natural areas a national task. To develop and implement in all branches of industry, agriculture and services the principles of the so-called cyclical economy. The main obstacle to the implementation of the above measures is the dominance of anthropocentric approach in all spheres of human activity. In the consciousness of the world society, there is no scientifically identified picture of anthropogenic pressure on the biosphere. It is necessary to conduct large-scale educational work to make this picture an integral part of people's consciousness. In order to fully implement a set of measures to overcome the environmental crisis, we invite all scientists, as well as public environmental organizations, environmental activists, all reasonable and sane people to unite in the Extraordinary Environmental Council for overcoming the environmental crisis. This council will include cooperating national working groups: Eco-Russia, Eco-Germany, Eco-Canada, Eco-America, etc. Committee 100 proposes to create the Register of Key Environmental Problems as the first project of the Extraordinary Environmental Council. This project will bring to the consciousness of Earthlings a real picture of anthropogenic pressure on the biosphere and will be the first step in the implementation of the initial stage of the program to stabilize the habitat. The creation of a complete list of existing national and global environmental problems has never been carried out by anyone. Information about these problems is scattered across different sources: environmental activists, original environmental organizations, officials, the press, etc. In most cases, it is just the local population who lives in a disaster area and doesn't try to rectify the situation in any way. Compilation of a register of environmental problems will allow solving several tasks to overcome the environmental crisis. First, it will attract the attention and efforts of the world community to address key environmental problems. Second, it will launch mechanisms of interaction between different social strata for the implementation of work in this direction. Third, it will become the starting point for the movement of mankind to overcome the ecological crisis. Fourth, systematization of the data of the compiled register will show the true scale of environmental disasters and indicate the need for a set of measures to systematically resolve the situation. Compiling a register of environmental problems is a direct work to overcome the ecological crisis. This registry removes the main obstacle that prevents us from getting out of this situation: the ignorance of the general population, including politicians and business representatives, that environmental problems threaten the destruction of humanity. We consider the compilation of the Register of Environmental Problems a top priority for all countries in the world. Various social structures can be involved in the work on this project. Calling people of the earth to unite, we are not looking for an easy road and do not make unrealizable promises. We do not expect awards and honors on this way. We are aware that we will face great difficulties, but we are confident in the power of human knowledge. We understand our responsibility to future generations. In the face of mass demonstrations of children in defense of the climate, we simply have to overcome the current despair and find a way out of the ecological impasse in which humanity is being drawn deeper and deeper. Thank you.